first question.
All right, so ladies, just a tough loss today. Just what are the emotions coming out of this game afterwards today?
Yeah, I think I'm really proud of our team and I'm proud of our effort. I think we gave it our all out there. That's really all we can ask for. We had it down to the wire, and now we're just going to look ahead to next week and focus on our next opponent.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought game, and I mean, it didn't end in the way that we wanted it to, but we still did the best that we could.
And Grace, 20 points there in the first half. Just what was working offensively for you there in the first half?
I definitely think that we were pushing in transition and just making the easy passes.
And Macy, you hit some big shots there in the second half. Just what was working for the offense in that second half, maybe getting the ball inside a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. I think just taking care of the ball a little bit more. Our turnovers necessarily wasn't a huge number, but that's just something that we always focus on. I think that's something that will help us a lot.
Macy, just having been here a couple of years, I mean, it's been a long time since you guys lost this many conference games this early in the schedule. I mean, what's sort of different about this year looking at the Summer League slate?
Yeah, for sure. I think the conference is really strong this year. I think it's great for the Summit League. Right now we're just focused on staying together and staying positive and getting in the gym and ready for the next weekend.
Yeah.
Grace, obviously you had a lot of things going for you pretty much the entire game. I mean, that lead pass, though, up the court on the break, I mean, that seemed to be open a lot. Alexi seemed to actually point that out to you. I mean, how open was that, and what were you sort of looking for? What were they giving to you the entire game on the break?
I just think, I don't know, my head just kind of goes empty when we were going, and you just got to look for the open pass and really try to push. So that's what we were doing. It was working for us.
How much more comfortable are you getting just with the ball in your hands as the game goes along?
I'd say every day, pretty much everyone on our team is getting more and more comfortable, and it's a long season, so we have a lot more to go.
Macy,
Macy, you were guarding Hamlin a lot of the day today, and were locking her down pretty well. Kind of frustrating her in a lot of ways. The three-pointers were falling for her. How did she kind of get things going there? Because she was so pivotal for them as they made their run late.
Yeah, she's a great player. I think a lot of times when we're guarding whoever it is, we're just focused on making them take tough shots, keeping them in front. I think they definitely look to drive it a little bit more in the second half, so just working on staying down and staying in front of them I think will help us going forward.
Felt like there was a couple of periods at the beginning of the game and then again at the beginning of the third quarter where they kind of were able to do a lot of damage inside, but you were able to kind of push them out after what adjustments were you able to make? Because ultimately it felt like that was what helped you guys get a little bit of separation in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. I think our defense inside was good. I think our guards did a really good job when we switched onto those posts of just working to get in front and also having just great backside help. So I think that's something we can continue to work on as well.
For both of you, I mean, Macy, on that last defensive possession, you were on the ball, and Grace, obviously, you took that last reverse layup. I mean, having those moments and maybe they're not going your way, how could they teach you about playing in close games, and, what can you use that to, improve going forward?
Yeah, going forward, I think being in those positions, it's really fun, first of all, but second of all, it's something that we can really learn from, and it's something where unless you're in those situations, you're not going to be able to learn from it. So even though it didn't go our way, I think it will really help us going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that it's a great opportunity to learn from it, move on, and get ready for the next game.
Just with South Dakota State coming up next week, just what does rivalry week mean to you two, and are you just looking forward to the opportunity to going up to Brookings on Saturday?
Yeah, we talk a lot about how every game is important, we just try to look into each other when there's a lot of outside noise surrounding, so I think that's really what we're going to focus on this week is just each other.
Agreed. I think we're going to treat it like any other game. South Dakota State is a great team, but we're just going to focus on ourselves.
Basically, kind of going back to the question Michael asked about those close games. I mean, that thing had a tournament feel in the second half today. I mean, did you guys sense that energy as you were pushing forward? And again, one of those that ultimately didn't go your way today, but at the same time, lots to be taken from.
Yeah, it's fun when you're winning games by a lot, but what's really fun is when it's a close game. Our crowd was super into it. They were super loud. They had our backs the whole game, and we're so grateful for them. So it was a lot of fun out there. Just hoping that next time we can learn from this and we can be on the winning end of it.
Well, I felt like that was just a battle of a basketball game there. I felt like it was, it was tight the whole way through, obviously. It felt like by the time we got to halftime, I just felt like we were talking so much about hustle plays and rebounds because I really felt like their offensive rebounding kept them in it. At that point, they had 13 second chance points. So for me, that was really the story of the first half. And we just had to be way more disciplined at boxing people out. With their length, we knew that was going to be something we had to focus on especially, but it was a problem for us at halftime. Now, the good news is we really locked in on that, and they didn't get any second chance points the second half. But I think the number that stands out to me is the points off turnovers. I think 11 is a turnover number that you can be fairly happy with, but when they score every time off of it, and just honestly, some silly sort of inexperienced mistakes, I think, that we definitely could have avoided. They just add up at the end. And, I felt like they had a big fourth quarter, and their seniors go and make plays, and that's what seniors do. They step up and do that. I thought, Grace had a great game. I don't really think that they had an answer for her, and I thought she had a really good look at the end, and really had got the look that we wanted to, and just didn't convert. So, I think it was one of those really tight games that we had to just go and, again, get a very new experience now out of, and have to come up with a defensive stop at the end and then convert on offense, and we didn't do either one. And so it's going to be a good learning tool for us going forward.
Kayla, we talked a little bit about that, the lessons that can be pulled from a game like this because it was so competitive, and I think the largest lead on either side was 8 points today. That had a tournament feel today, though. I mean, so do you think at least if you're looking for a silver lining that you can at least salvage that much, just from an experience standpoint for your team that is young overall?
Right. I don't know that we've really had a game like this all year yet, and even in the non-conference, this was really back and forth. It really never felt like one team was really that strongly in control. Even when I looked up and I saw we were up 5, I thought, well, 5 seems like a 10-point lead in any other game. It just felt like it was really hard to inch ahead. And so, when I really thought the time where we hit a corner 3, Macy hit the corner 3, and then they came down and they hit a corner 3. I thought that was a really, really tough sequence for us. I felt like if we would have gotten stopped and gone on from there, we would have been in good shape. But you're right, it comes down to those individual plays and putting a lot of value on every possession, and something that inexperienced teams everybody has to learn that. And even being in late game and getting the feel for the pressure almost of like, I have to get a stop right now, I have to go get a rebound, is something new for so many of our kids. We played small for the most part, and we played young. We had a lot of young players on the floor once again.
Mm-hmm. And then just defensively, what difficulties did the Bison present inside in the first quarter, and what adjustments did you make to combat that the rest of the game?
Well, they were really only scoring in the paint for a while there. They started the game, I think, all 12 of their points were in the paint right away at the first media timeout. So, and we knew that was something they typically do. They can shoot the 3, but that's not really something that they're trying to do. So with their length and their size, we talked about a lot. They set a ton of ball screens and how to guard those, and we knew that they were going to look to throw it inside. So it was a matter of us being really active and switching screens and fronting. I really liked our activity level, actually. I think the points in the paint really for us in that first quarter came down to offensive rebounds and putbacks, or just a simple drive that we didn't get stopped in transition. And so, we mixed in a little zone in the second half just to try to pack it in. And, of course, they hit a 3 on it the first possession. But we stayed in it, and I think got a few stops just to take them out of rhythm just a little bit. And but then when they have, Evans played the way that she did and hit enough 3s out of it, you've got to really respect that. And it kind of changes the way that your zone has to play. So, I just think we continue to stick with the game plan for the most part. We knew that they were going to have size, and no matter how you guard ball screens, they're going to find a way to get it in. It was just about being really active, making those passes inside the paint tough, and having a lot of ball pressure. And that was something we talked about.
Mm-hmm. And then just how impressive was it that Alexi and Carly were able to get inside the way they were able to in that third quarter and really get baskets and build that lead a bit for you for the team.
Yeah, I felt like they had a good flurry in there. I was really happy with the way that Carly played. There we are again. I look out there and I'm like, man, we're small. That's kind of been the way we have, the last 2 games now. That's been the lineup. I think that's given us the most success. Just didn't feel like Jai and Walker always give us that great presence, but today just couldn't stay out of foul trouble, and we couldn't quite just make them useful enough on the court. And then for matchup purposes, it wasn't really the time to get them in there. So Carly has shown a lot of growth, and I think we end up spacing the floor really well with her in there. And then, like you said, Lexi looking for her shot and giving us that little flurry, I think was really good. I felt like Nicole, I think, did really well. I think they were keying in on her a little bit more, and people are going to now that you've proven yourself. So she's got to find other ways to score. And certainly Morgan's been under the weather, so didn't play as much and didn't give us really the offensive output that she normally would either. So a lot of it fell onto Grace. It felt like, again, I don't think that they really had an answer for, but we've got to find other people who can help carry the load too.
And then just your bench came alive there in the second half as well. Just how impressed were you with that contribution when maybe in the first half it was more Grace carrying the load as far as points?
Yeah, well, that's 2 games in a row now that our bench has really done a good job. Cassidy Carson had another good game, and her numbers never stand out to you as an amazing game, but she's always really steady. She defends well. She can find a way to get you a couple scores. She can rebound. She's just a really smart player. So Nicole, Walker, I think, like I said, her time was a little bit short today, but then Carly, really the combination of them, for us to have 25 bench points is huge, because I think our starters are fully capable of scoring, but they've got to give us that lift, and that's really promising. I think we take that away from this weekend for sure.
You got a chance to do some live game planning, obviously, on that last defensive sequence and that last offensive play. I mean, what can you learn from those moments, and what can the team learn from that moment?
Yeah, I think we just have to, we talk so much about you've got to get a stop and a score, and it's really what it came down to. And we didn't get either, but I think for us, we stick with our late game of keeping our same rules and communicating and figuring out how to get it done. It was just, to be honest, I think it was pretty, from what I remember, really good defense. Macy fought through that tight curl screen. It was amazing she got through there, and then maybe just shifted her momentum just a tiny bit, where then Hamling was able to turn the corner and just go make that play. So, to be honest, I think that's good defense, maybe just a bit better offense. And then for us to have to come down, of course, and then we missed a free throw before that, so that would have made the game a little bit different too. But now we have to come down and we've got to find a way to score. Give our kids a lot of credit for executing that. We got the look that we wanted and just didn't convert. So those are moments that our coaching staff is in for the first time along with this group of players, and it's a good experience. We're going to take that with us. It can only bode well for us in the future.
You sort of alluded to it. I mean, Grace with the reverse at the end. Could you have asked for really a better look than that, other than maybe turned around a little bit?
Nope, I would do that same play if that was the same look that she got every time. So we trust it. We wanted to put it back in her hands to go and make a play, and I think she had a great look at it.
The team seems to play differently when she pulls the ball down on the defensive end for rebounds and gets steals. I mean, they just seem to run. They know that she's going to play with her heads up. I mean, how does her, I guess, overall growth and playing with her head up and her passing, how does that impact the team?
Well, it's her pace. We play at her pace, so it is great when she gets a rebound or she goes and gets the outlet on the run, because we've got everybody else that now has to keep up. And I really felt like our transition offense was great again today. I felt like we had pace to us, and we had some freshness to us, and you could tell even by us finding Carly Duffney streaking down the middle of the floor that they were having trouble keeping up with our pace. So that's really what makes her special. Now, people keying in on her more, she's had to find a way to keep her head up and develop that and retreat dribble a couple times. Honestly, at the end, they were just full out denying her. So they didn't even want the ball back in her hands in the half court. So that's why if we can continue to focus on getting those stops in the half court defensively, then it turns into really good offense and transition for us. And Grace is really the reason why.
Yeah, obviously, positions are a little bit less defined on this team, but is there a better point guard in the Summit League than Grace?
Oh, that's a tough question. There's a lot of good guards in the league. I don't know that I can answer that right now. She's playing really well. But we got to just keep working on her supporting cast. We have to keep challenging her to get better. I think her ceiling is even higher, and I know that's, when you look at this, you might think I'm crazy because she had 39 and 8, but there's just more. There's more to her. There's more to her game. And the more that teams focus on her, she's got to find ways to get other people involved and then try and get the ball back in her hands. It's all a process, and she's learning every day.
On the other side, you mentioned Hamling, and generally there's seniors making plays, especially when it mattered. But she goes for 12 in the fourth quarter out of her 22. It felt like you guys had frustrated her much of the day. So how did she finally kind of get downhill on you and get something going, especially at important times like that?
I think that was it. I felt like, Macy Giebert did a great job on her. I think they just tried to set a ball screen to get Giebert off of her and then have other people try to keep her in front. And then it just came down to guarding the dribble, sitting down and cutting that kid off. And just don't feel like we did a good job of that late in that game. So I think that was it. I think she put her head down. We felt like she really wasn't. She's a fully capable 3-point shooter, but even the ones that she took, I think, were challenged or they were off balance. And there's Macy Giebert just getting in someone's face and making that really tough. So again, 22 on 22 shots. That's really difficult. But I think they did a good job of making other people guard her, making other people have to go and make a play. And that's a kid that just has a lot of toughness to her.
18 for Borovich on Thursday on 18 shots, 22 for Hamley on 22. I mean, you're going to take those numbers every time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I give Macy a lot of credit. She's just got the role defined for her. Now it's awesome that she's stepping out and making threes too. She can give us both on both ends of the floor, but she really takes such pride in that. And for majority of the game, she's hounding her, and it's really important for us. She can set the tone, and she can teach those other kids how to do that. And now we just need others to follow their lead. But absolutely, I love the effort on that player. She's a tough kid. We're going to continue to need those efforts going forward. All right, thanks.